Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. In my last video, I know I told you guys I was going to do that video the other day, but by now you should know that things be happening and I can't always get back to do the video when I said I was going to do it. And then one of the other things that I notice about people on social media, and it happens a lot with people who are survivors of sexual assault and sexual abuse. And then let me put this disclaimer in here. I do not in any way support the Me Too movement, like the appropriated Me Too movement. The original Me Too movement that was actually about people that had been raped, assaulted, molested as children. I supported that. I don't support this Hollywood version of it because I think the Hollywood version of it is really about power and about taking what you didn't work for. You know, that these rich white women use sex, use their bodies to get into these positions and to get roles in movies and all of that stuff. And now that their careers are pretty much at an end, instead of them coming up with another plan to support themselves, they've decided, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll go and take from these guys what we want, take that power away from them and use it for our own benefit. And so that's why I don't support the appropriated Me Too movement. And so what they're doing is they're using real victims, people who really have been victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse, and they're using them as a pawn to further their cause. And so that just really bothers me. But what I find happening is, and I hope somebody can answer this question for me, because I know this, and you may have noticed this also, that when you're talking to people and you're giving your opinion about a subject or something that came in the news, and they'll just randomly say, I was raped, I was assaulted as a child, I was molested as a child, and then they don't say anything. And then I'm standing there like, okay, what was the point of you sharing that? Like, were you trying to, are you uncomfortable in the conversation that we're having, and so you use that to deflect? Are you trying to tell me to shut up and not have an opinion? Are you, like, what is your purpose of throwing that out there and then not saying anything else? And I'm just always standing there like, okay, so am I supposed to just not finish what I was saying because you threw that into the conversation? So if anybody knows why people do that, please let me know. And then maybe one day I'll just be insensitive enough to ask one of my friends when they do that, why do you do that? But what I have found on social media is that when you're trying to talk about, like when people were trying to talk about that docu-series, and then people were getting angry, threatening to unfriend people, unblock people, to me, you're trying to take control and take power away from other people the same way the person, that assaulted you or molested you took your power away. And to me, that says a lot about whether or not you have fully dealt with what you went through, because it's not another person's fault that happened to you. It's not their fault that they view things based on their life experiences. And so if someone has never been sexually assaulted, someone has never been raped, someone has never been molested, they can still empathize with what happened to you in your life, but they also can differentiate between what happened to you and what it is that they're talking about in this moment. And I just want to, do any of you find that happening to you, where people are just getting mad and they're thinking that just because every person that comes out and says this happened to me, that they're automatically telling the truth, and that everybody else should put their critical thinking aside and just go along because it's easier and it's more convenient to go along than it is to stand up and say, wait a minute, now what she's saying don't make no sense to me. Like, why Sparkle knew all this was going on with R. Kelly, but she still introduced her niece to him? Like, that don't make no sense. And why would the niece's father still work for R. Kelly after all? So you're sitting there like, okay, a whole bunch of people need to be in jail, but then they're over there mad and say, oh, you're victim shaming, you don't understand, like when you say stuff like that, what it's doing to me. And I'm like, it shouldn't be doing anything to you, because we're not talking about you. Now if you want to have a conversation about you and what you went through, we can have that conversation, and I can show empathy and concern and consideration for what happened to you in your particular situation. But that doesn't give you the right to tell me to shut up and that I shouldn't have an opinion about something that's totally unrelated to you. And so I kind of fought the Me Too movement for that, because they want all women to jump on board with this movement and further this cause. And I'm just an independent thinker. I can think for myself, I can feel for myself, and I don't have to believe anything that's being spewed and manufactured and pushed out to me. But on the same hand, I can understand that, yeah, this happened to you, and I hate that that happened to you, and what can I do, to make things better for you, and still say that this heifer over here, I think, is lying, or she's adding on and not being truthful. So do you guys find that? And if you are a survivor, are you one of those people that try to shut conversations down by interjecting that, you are a survivor and that something happened to you? And why do you mold all that in together? But anyway, I was telling you all about a friend of mine on Facebook. I mean, I don't know her personally. I just know her from Facebook. I believe she's about my age, and she's been hospitalized for a really long time. She's waiting on a kidney, and she, I guess, has too much time on her hand and a whole bunch of things to say, because the whole R. Kelly thing has had her in an uproar. And so when I did the video about the celebrity wives, I was going to try and tie it into the whole R. Kelly situation, but it just wasn't working. And then she made another video, and I was like, oh my gosh, she is basically saying everything that I was going to say in my video. So I'll use her video to kind of set the tone for the conversation that I wanted to have in this video. And so basically she started out where she was saying that parents can't really control what their teen daughters, stop blaming the parents and put some of the blame on the teen daughters, because girls are going to do whatever they want to do. And I don't think she's made any more videos since then. She's kind of calmed down. I think maybe her kids came in and was like, Mama, you ain't happy your situation. But before I get to the video, there was a couple of things, because y'all know stuff just been happening over the past couple of days, which is why it took me so long to get this video, because I'm like, every time I get ready to sit down and do the video, something else comes out. So the biggest thing to come out was R. Kelly's birthday. It was January 8th, I think. So he shows, I don't know if he rented the club or he showed up at the club, but he was at the club and celebrating his birthday. They had him in the DJ booth. They started playing all his songs. Now, most of you have probably seen like a 30-second clip where he's performing Bump and Grind, because that's what all the news media has picked up on. Baby, I don't want to hurt nobody, but there is something that I must confess. Somebody make some motherfucking noise. Hey, y'all motherfuckers don't know it's my motherfucking birthday, and I don't give a fuck what's going on tonight. Happy birthday to my black ass nigga. But I've actually seen a 20-minute video where he literally performs like all his hits, okay? And he's got the mic, they're playing the music, he's singing, encouraging the people in the club to sing along, and they knew all the words to the song. And what was so interesting to me is that everybody is quick to say that, the people going to his concerts and the people that's supporting him are the aunties, are people my age. But in that club, it was a whole bunch of people my daughter's age. My youngest daughter is 25. There was like, whatever age y'all letting folks into the club in Chicago, up to, I would say, people in their 30s. They knew all the words to the song. They were having a good time. The club was packed. There was no uproar. People weren't walking like, oh my God, why is he here? I'm leaving. I can't believe I paid my money to get in here. They say the club was sold out to capacity and everybody seemed to have a good time. And then somebody called the police and said that, he was there and that he had an outstanding warrant. So the police show up, and I'm thinking to myself, now, first of all, you the police. So you already know whether or not this man has a warrant, and you can easily go into the system and check and see if there's an outstanding warrant. So I think they was just messing with him and kind of like sending the message that we can roll up on you at any time, so you better watch yourself or whatever. But they came in, they talked to him and told him, somebody called, but we checked and there's no warrant, and so there's nothing we can do. And then they left and the party continued. And I was just like, this is so crazy. And then what else happened? Oh, y'all know Torre, the journalist Tor, is it Tor or Torre? The guy with the natural, twisty like hair, who interviewed R. Kelly in that famous interview where he asked him, does he like teenage girls? Well, why did it come out that he was actually fired from Time Incorporated in 2000? I think it's since he did that interview with R. Kelly. Maybe it was 2012 and he did that interview in 2008, but whatever the dates was, he actually was fired after a makeup artist named Danny, a makeup artist named Danny Swipe accused him of sexual harassment, and Danny came with the receipts. Okay, so he got fired, even though Time won't confirm that that's the reason he was let go, but I'm pretty sure it was. So now Danny has surfaced after that docuseries to say, you got a lot of nerve to be harassing this man about what he's doing when you were harassing me on the job. And so she had all these screen prints where she had told him he was being a creep, and he was asking her about all these different sex acts, and I'm not really going to spell out what the acts were, because for some reason I see all these videos that are monetized and people just cussing, talking dirty and everything else, and they're monetized. But my videos, even though I've gotten my monetization back, all of my videos, well, the 3 or 4 videos I've done since I became monetized, have all been flagged as not advertiser friendly. And I've had to, request a manual review. They said that the last video I did with about the wives is not suitable for advertisers. So they may or may not run ads on it. And then what did I do before that? They approved the one where I was walking and telling you guys about the videos I was going to make. They approved the one where I was talking about them and the fact that they wouldn't monetize me. But whatever video was before that video, which was been several months ago, that video, they said that they couldn't monetize because it wasn't advertiser friendly. So go figure. But anyway, getting back to the subject at hand, Danny, was basically telling him that he was harassing her, leave her alone, stop talking about her body, stop talking about all the things he wants to do to her, and just leave her alone. And she was like, I'm the type of person where I'm going to check you when you get out of pocket. She says, but I have a friend that's coming to work for the company, and she may not be the type of person, that will say something. So I hope you don't bother her like you're bothering me. And so he came back, and I think he apologized to her. And then he goes into, instead of just saying, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, he had like these long text messages. It was like 3 or 4 of them, where he's like trying to defend his actions, saying he thought they were friends and that they could joke about anything. He was just playing. He would never want to do all those things to her. And I'm like, boy, shut up. So now, of course, social media has gotten a hold of that. And so they were sharing all of that. I think Essence was the one where I saw the story at, was essence.com, where they were talking about it. So people were basically saying to him, like, you are such a hypocrite. How are you going to talk about somebody else? And I think that's the danger, in these celebrities, trying to come out and say something, because you don't know who from your past is going to come up and say, Well, I remember when you felt on my booty in eighth grade, you know, that kind of crazy stuff. And so I think that's why a lot of people are staying quiet on this. And the ones who are speaking out, they're probably speaking out real nervous, like, oh my God, you know, like, I don't know nobody come out and say nothing about me. And then Lady Gaga, you know, she finally answered the call to come and denounce him. And basically her statement read like it had been written by whoever was writing them statements for all the men that they're trying to bring down and accuse of stuff that happened 20 years ago. She was basically like, I'm sorry, I was in a dark place, I promise I won't work with them again, and to make y'all happy. And the fact that I done made a whole bunch of money off the song already, I'm gonna pull the song from my catalog. Okay, y'all happy? Now leave me alone so I can go back to doing whatever it was I was doing before all this came up and y'all drug my name into it. So just nothing sincere about it. And not that she owed anybody anything, but you know, I guess she felt the need to respond, and so she did. And then Omarion, I think it is, says that, you know, at the end of this tour, he's going to stop singing songs that was written by R. Kelly. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, oh boy, if you stop them songs now, you probably won't even have nothing to sing while you on tour. So that, I don't know how that's going to go, you know, because everybody is looking for that B2K tour to take off. People already talking about they got their outfits ready, that they in for the long haul. They're going to support that tour regardless of what they're singing. Okay, so those were all the updates I think I had, and then I'm going to go ahead and play this video. The video is 15 minutes long. There is a lot of profanity, so beware. If you don't want to listen to the video, just bypass it, and then I'll come back with my commentary and what, you know, the thoughts that I was going to share with you guys. But like I said, she was hitting on a lot of points that I was going to say. So anyway, go ahead and take a look.
Okay, first of all, I'm sick as hell, and then all you Negroes and motherfuckers inboxing me with random bullshit about R. Kelly and how wrong my ass is, instead of saying, hey, are you still alive? Are you feeling better? Can I bring you some soup? Yeah, about that. That just tells me how raggedy and unfocused my friends really are. But since y'all want to have this fight about R. Kelly and how wrong I'm supposed to be, let's have it. Because who ain't scared as I? Now, all you outraged individuals that want to be unhappy about R. Kelly and his deviant behavior, y'all looking at the eyes of yourselves now as parents, as mature adults. Y'all not looking at who the hell you were then. And I'm not, in no way have I ever said that him screwing kids was a right thing to do. What I said was, I did say it, I will say it, and I'm going to continue to say is, I don't believe that everything that these little heifers is saying was the truth. I don't believe that what they're saying is the honest to God truth. What I truly believe is, like my mama used to say, is somebody telling half truths and whole lies. Because I'm sorry, everybody want to be upset with R. Kelly. His grown ass should have known this, that, and the third. Well, you know what? You probably right. He probably should have. But my question is, when do these little girls have to take responsibility for what they did? They lied to their parents. They snuck out. They got gussied up. They put on the damn outfit of I'm older than I am, and they sent out a message. They went to advertising and they pissed off because somebody bought what the fuck they was advertising. I don't think so. If your 13-year-old daughter, if your 14-year-old daughter, if your 15, 16-year-old daughter had the consciousness of mindset to figure out how to lie to you, your mama, your daddy, and whomever else she lied to, figure out how to get from point A to point B. Because let's look at this logically. R. Kelly sends his entourage over there to make an initial meet and greet. R. Kelly would like to see you. Okay, that child at that point had a choice. Because I'm pretty damn sure that all these little girls who knew R. Kelly knew that he wasn't going to school with them. They knew who the hell R. Kelly was. We all did. After him and his public announcement days, we all knew who R. Kelly was. He was a grown-ass man. Yes, he was. But these little girls had a choice. And did they make a good choice? No. That's on the parents for not teaching their child how to make good choices. But that's what's wrong with these damn today generation people. Y'all don't tell your kids there are consequences and repercussions to the choices that you make. So choose wisely. And then when one of these children make a bad choice, then it's not their fault. You don't understand why they don't understand why is this happening because you didn't choose wisely. From the time I was 10 years old until the day my mama died, she always said choose wisely. You always have a choice. These little girls chose to go see R. Kelly. Okay, the first time they made a bad choice and some shit went wrong, okay. But they left and came back once, twice, off and on for 8-9 years. And now they're suddenly a victim? When the hell exactly did they become a victim? One little girl said she was 16 years old. This is what I need continuity in the story. She goes to R. Kelly's house. R. Kelly tells her to go change, put on a bathing suit. She comes back. She puts on the bathing suit. She's in the bathing suit. He tells her to take off her top. Her ass ain't got no problems with it. It felt uncomfortable, but I did it. Okay, you had a choice. You could either take it off or you didn't have to. You take your top off. Then he tells you to take your bottoms off. You take your bottoms off. Oral sex is proceeded to be had. He asks you how old you are. And you don't tell him how old you are. You hand him an ID. Where exactly in the hell did you have this ID stuck? Taped to your titty? Or slid up in your twat? Which the hell, where did you hide this ID? I need to know where you had this ID while your ass was sitting there naked having oral sex with R. Kelly. The stories don't make sense. Was he wrong for doing the shit he did? Right. Is being a moral degenerate a crime? Hell no. Because guess what? I hate to tell you this, but there was some 18-year-old niggas in high school, 19-year-old niggas in college that was fucking 16 and 17-year-olds, 15 and 14-year-olds. Does that make you a moral degenerate? When your football playing ass was running around with your boys and your frat brothers running trains on multiple girls, did that make you a moral degenerate or a child molester? Or were you just a kid being a kid? Or were you just a boy being a boy? Why did it suddenly change now that you done gave space to having your own children? Suddenly the shit that you used to do way back when is now a crime and it's morally wrong, and I'm all out of line and out of order because I just don't see it as black and white as you do. We do not know what actually transpired in R. Kelly's house or wherever the hell R. Kelly was with these little fast-tailed girls. And yes, they were fast-tailed girls because they made a choice to carry their ass. They thought they was going to get fame. They thought they was going to get fortune. It didn't happen. I bet you to be damned that Lifetime paid them a pretty motherfucking penny to tell their story. When the hell exactly did they become victims? One chick went and got her friend. If you feel so bad and you feel like your ass was being done wrong, why in the name of God would you go get somebody else to put them in that mess? Clearly, at some point, you was all right with it. You hadn't reached your fed up point. Grown-ass women do it every day. Women do it every day. And y'all gonna piss me off, and I'm gonna start naming some names because I know some motherfucking niggas personally that have hit my ass talking about how wrong I am, and I know what your ass was doing, and I know some of the people your ass was doing it with. Does that make you a child molester? Should we be bringing up charges? Oh, wait, no, you ain't got no money, so it ain't gonna matter. Everybody unhappy about R. Kelly. R. Kelly blew up after he left. Public announcement. R. Kelly blew up after the sex tape came out. It didn't bother y'all's morally conscious, oh, he's so wrong, let's mute R. Kelly's asses then. Why in the name of hell is it bothering you now? 25 years later. 25 years after you reminded him of his Jeep Fiesta after the club is the after party. And he ain't the only motherfucker that was doing the damn thing. Why is this bothering everybody now? Why are we all so ready to throw him under the bus and say, you know what, R. Kelly, he's a moral degenerate. That's not a crime. Everybody got their own personal freaky behaviors. If a jury of his peers could not figure out how to send his ass to jail, one of two things has to be the case. Either there wasn't enough evidence to convict him, or they brought the wrong charges. These little girls. Okay, let me ask a question. I just want to know. Why is it that the judicial system can say that a 15, 14, 16-year-old kid has the conscience of mind to commit a crime and can be charged as an adult and sent to the penitentiary to pay for his actions, but when it comes to these little girls, they didn't know no better. They didn't have the consciousness of mind to decide that they wanted to have sex. Why not? So you telling me that a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old can decide they want to go rob somebody, kill somebody, maim somebody, commit a heinous crime, but they can't have the presence of thought to say, you know what? I might just want to go get my groove on. Really? Are you freaking kidding me? See, the double standard just kills me. It kills me, and I'm sorry. I'm absolutely sorry who disagrees, who don't like it. The only people who knows exactly what went down and the way it went down in that moment is R. Kelly, the heifer that was there, and God. If by chance he is absolutely unequivocally guilty of doing what they said, there's a 50-50 shot he is, there's a 50-50 shot he ain't. If he did it, and he ain't asked God to forgive him, and he ain't sorry for what he did, trust me, God gonna get it. But you are in no position to say it happened the way they said it happened, because women lie. Women lie. That's what we do. And society has made it all too easy for a girl to say, you know what, this happened to me. That damn lacrosse team over there, they got accused of doing some dirt, and then they found out later on that she lied. We didn't hear no great big story and no big outrage about her lying, but we was all upset when she was making the accusation. Lying women make it very, very hard. Very, very, very hard for people that tell the truth to be believed. And like I said, I'm pretty sure there probably was a victim or two in there. But my question is, when did they all become victims? If you are a victim, most victims try to escape. And when they get loose, they don't go back. These heifers went back and they brought friends. They didn't have to go to begin with. One little heifer down there in Florida told her mama point blank, if you don't let me go see R. Kelly, then I'm going to do this, that, and the third. She made threats. She made a conscious fucking decision to do what she did. So how the hell is she a victim? How do her parents get to say she's a victim? I mean, seriously, that's like, that would be like me saying I'm in a relationship with Joe Bob over here. Joe Bob is whooping my ass on a daily basis. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. It ain't what I had in mind. I'm there for 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, however the hell out. But then I get loose. I get out. This fool closes his eyes, he blinks, and I run out the front door. And then 3 days later, I go back. I'm no longer a victim. I am no longer a victim. Yeah, he whooped my ass, but you know what? That was a choice I made to let him do that shit. Y'all really need to stop. Because the next person that tells me I'm wrong, just because I don't believe what you believe does not make me wrong, and it does not necessarily make you right. And for those of you idiots that want to say that I can't deal with nobody that can be all right with it, I didn't say I was all right with it. What I said is I don't believe what they're saying is the truth. And if your ass want to defriend me, unfriend me, no longer deal with me, no longer contend with me, no longer be cool with me, then clearly your monkey motherfucking ass was never my friend to begin with. Because I'm a grown-ass woman, and my choices and my opinions don't necessarily have to match yours. That's not what our friendship is based on. Because I guarantee you, I don't agree with everything that all my friends do. But they my friends, And what they do is their business. How they believe is their business. I do not, you are an individual. And like I said, everybody want to keep asking me, well, what if it had been your child? It couldn't have been my child. And I'm going to tell you why it couldn't have been my child. Because the first time my child wasn't where her ass was supposed to be after her 10 o'clock curfew, oh, I'm going to find you. I kept a watch on mine. Mine knew better than to lie to me and sneak off somewhere, because she knew that just as sure as she lied to me, that was going to be her ass. I was going to snatch her tongue out of her mouth and beat the brakes off of her with it. I believed in laying hands on mine. I believed in consequences and repercussions. Mine understood that if your ass do this, this, and this may very well happen to you. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Mine knew better. Hell, mine is damn near 30 years old right now. And she know good and goddamn well. I don't care, before you say anything to me, don't lie to me. She still don't lie to me. And still, to this day, where the hell you at? Where you going? Okay, I'm going to need your ass to make sure that somebody know where you are, because shit happens. Yeah, you grown, but hell, grown motherfuckers get abducted every day. I still watch mine. And for those that like to ask questions, no, I didn't sneak out when I was 15, 16 years old. I wasn't hot in the ass like that. Was not, because I had choices and decisions. Was it offered? Hell yes. Did I accept it? Hell no. I had a choice. I could either go try to be grown, or I could do what kids do. If kids want kids sympathy, kids need to do what kids do. Quit trying to be grown, because when your ass decides you're going to put on your I'm grown, I can do what the fuck I want to shoes, then guess what? You get I'm grown, this shit happens to grown people shit. Be okay with it. Let's not have to address this shit again. I said what I said. I stand where I stand, and it is what it is. Somebody's telling half-truths and whole lies. Go watch this shit again. Because that little heifer that had to step off the stage, wasn't a tear falling off her face when she got emotional. That heifer was posing for the camera. All of these bitches wasn't victims. All of them wasn't victims, and it ain't all go down the way they said it went down. It's just that simple. You ain't got to like it. I said it. Be all right with it. Have a great day. I'm going back to blowing my nose and sneezing and trying to feel better. And if your ass ain't calling me or inboxing me to check on me to make sure I'm all right, or tell me you bringing me soup, quit inboxing me, damn it. I'm sick.
Okay, so that was a lot to take in, right? Okay, so before I get into it, the numbers are out for the docuseries, the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries, and they said that each episode garnered about 2.1 million views so far. And so I pulled the numbers for Empire and Star. So Empire, in the 8 o'clock spot that it's in now, when it had its season opener, garnered 6.1 million viewers for that hour. And then Star, which was moved to the 9 o'clock spot on the season opener, it garnered 4.7 million views. So if you want to put that into context, I know Lifetime is promoting that, you know, it broke their records. It was the most watched television show or movie or whatever ever on Lifetime, which I'm thinking these numbers don't say a lot about who's watching Lifetime. So Lifetime is saying each hour got 2.1 million views, and then they're trying to lump it together to say, oh, you know, so far 18 million people have watched the docuseries, but that is not true, because the same people were watching it each hour, and then, you know, give or take a few. So 2.1 for the docuseries per episode, compared to 6.1 million people watching Empire and 4.7 million people watching Star. And then that leads me into my next point, which is, remember back in the day when hip hop first came out, and, you know, they had all the, you know, just every lyric was about having sex. And then you had all these scantily dressed women in there, and people were saying, you know, you guys need to stop this. You're setting the wrong tone. And then people will argue, well, it's just music. And if a music video makes you go out and do something crazy, then that's on you. It's not on the entertainer. But I think, you know, the whole R. Kelly situation shows us that that is not true. And that there obviously are a lot of girls who were trying to emulate what was going on in those videos, who was seeking out, you know, celebrity and fame, and thought that the way to do that was about using their bodies and wanting to follow behind these entertainers. And I think that is very evident in that whole R. Kelly docuseries. I don't think it was about mental manipulation. I think that these girls knew exactly what they were doing. And one thing I don't do, and that is I don't preface statements saying, you know, I'm not saying this, and, you know, I feel this way about that. I feel this way about that. I don't do that, so don't look for me to do that. But anyway, I think that they knew very well. And then I got to thinking, like, you know, things that teenagers can do, because people like to use the argument, oh, but they were just babies. Their minds haven't matured enough to make that kind of decision. And I was sitting there thinking, when I was in elementary school, so my sister's 2 years older than me, and so I had to have been in 3rd grade, and she was in 5th grade getting ready to go to middle school, because middle school is 6th through 8th here. So she had a friend, and her friend was 11 at the time, and she got pregnant. She had her baby. Okay, so she got pregnant when we were in elementary school, had the baby, I think, over the summer of going into middle school. And I think she went on to have like 2 more kids before she graduated from high school. But she did graduate from high school. And I remember something was in the paper. It might have been the obituary or something. But it was basically, I don't know how it was, whatever I was reading, it was listing the number of children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and maybe her mother passed away or something. But basically, I was like, oh my God, like, she's probably 40 now, and she's already a great-grandmother. You know, I was like, that is crazy, which meant that her kids, who she had at an early age, repeated that cycle and also had kids at an early age. And so that was just really crazy to me. And then I got to thinking about we met these people at church when I was a little girl, and their kids were the same age that I was. And, you know, with my sisters and I, we're all the same age. And so fast forward into my adult life. And so they had threw a birthday party for their mom, and it was her 60th birthday party. And so I was sitting there saying, okay, if I'm friends with her kids and I'm close to 50, how can she be having her 60th birthday party? And so it was just one of those things that kind of stuck out in my mind as being really odd. So then the next year, they had a 50th wedding anniversary for their party for their parents. And so once again, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they just had a 60th birthday party for the mom last year. How could they possibly be celebrating the 50th wedding anniversary? So I finally went to my mom and my sister, and I was just like, okay, so-and-so, you know, this just happened. And then my mom was like, yeah, she was like 11 years old when they got married, and he was like in his 20s. And this couple has been together ever since then. And if you never knew their ages, like, you would think, oh, they're so happy, everything. They, you know, got these kids, you know, great family, American Story or whatever. But she was 11 years old when she got married and had her first baby, and they are still married until today. So I'm thinking, sure, she was forced to grow up early or grow up quickly because of those decisions. But then we have to keep in mind that back then, you know, like even during slavery, you know, once a girl was of childbearing age, you know, they were married off, they were having kids, they were basically breeding them like animals. And I'm thinking that must have continued into like the early 1900s, and it probably wasn't until like maybe 40 years ago where society began to frown on that and say, no, this isn't right, and we need to incorporate these laws stating that, putting a minimum age on when a person is mature enough to consent to having sex. And then last year or the year before last, here in Florida, they actually passed a law stating, because it was that if a person was younger than 16 and they wanted to get married, that the parents had to sign off on it and give their approval. But they passed a law saying that even if they're 16, like no one can get married with under the age of 16, whether the parents approve or not, that, it's now against the law to do that. And I think there's probably other states that also have those laws in place, and we may start to see that trend continue as we go along. For a while, I did a video, and I couldn't remember which video it was or what I was talking about, because I was talking about something else and then it went into another conversation. But I was sharing this story about when I might not even been 14 yet. It might have been like the week before my birthday. I know I was getting ready to enter into high school. And so there was a concert that was coming. It was the Commodores, LTD, and one other group. Might have been like Cameo or New Birth. Or it was during the time when, the male groups were really big back then. So it was 1978, I believe. And so my parents allowed me to go to this concert, and it was the first time I went to a concert alone, and I went with a friend of mine who shall remain nameless. And so somehow she ended up getting backstage and found out, she got backstage and she found out where these band members were staying at, and it was a big arena called the Bayfront Center, and then they cut half of it off and built this theater called the Mahaffey Theater now, which is a much smaller version of what it used to be. And then across the street and down about a block is a Hilton Hotel. And so usually when people come to town, they either stay at the Hilton or they stay at the Vinoy, which is further down the road. And so these guys were staying at the Hilton, and somehow she found out where they were staying, found out what room they were in, and so she was like, "Oh, girl, we was invited to an after party," and I was like, "I'm not going to no after party. Like, what are you talking about?" And she was like, "Yeah, girl, we're gonna have fun, blah blah blah." So I was like, "No, we can't go." So we go back and forth, and so, a lot of us was raised under the rule that you never leave a friend, and when your friend go, you go. You never leave the party alone, whatever. So I'm like, okay, and I'm scared and I'm nervous and everything. Like, oh my God, if my parents ever find out that I've been over here in this hotel. So we go up and we're in the room, and I just remember, and I can't remember whose band members it was or anything, because this was so long ago. And so I remember just sitting there, and I was like looking around, like, girl, we should be here. What are you doing? And she's like, girl, just relax. And so they was like smoking weed and everything. And I'm sitting there like, no, I should be here. And I was like nervous. And so I told her, I said, girl, I got to go. I'm going to call my dad to come get me. And she was like, don't you call your dad? Because I was supposed to be spending the night with her. And so I said, well, let's go. We got to go. Let's call your sister to come get us. And she was like, girl, just relax, have fun. So I think after about 15 minutes, and the interesting part about it was, even though we had no business being up there, it wasn't like the guys were like trying to brush up on us. They were sitting there getting high, whatever, drinking. And they was like, well, yeah, just take a hit, and relax. And I was like, I ain't taking no drugs. This shit crazy. So finally, I had to make the executive decision and say, girl, you either come with me or I'm going to leave your butt up here. And so she was like, well, go on then. So I got up and left, and I remember walking down the hallway, and it seemed like the walk from that room to the elevator was the longest walk in my life. And I was sitting there like, okay, what do I do? Like, when I call my dad, do I tell my dad she's up there in this room? Do I go downstairs and tell the people in the lobby, that my friend who's only like 13, 14 years old is up in this room with these grown men? Do I call the police? Like, what do I do? I think I was on the verge of tears. I was like, oh my God, it was like the biggest burden of my 13 and 11 months and 3-week life, okay? But I knew right from wrong. I knew I had no business being in there. And if it hadn't been ingrained in me that you never leave a friend, I never would have went in there. And so by the time I got to the elevator, by the grace of God, I mean, it was at the elevator or getting off the elevator, here she comes. She was like, oh, girl, you act like a little girl. You ruined all our fun. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, you know. So I called my dad. My dad came and got us. And so he was like, well, what's going on? I thought her sister was going to pick y'all up. And so I was like, well, something happened. And then my dad, you know, he took us on over there. And I think I did end up staying the night with her. But, you know, from that day, our friendship was never the same. And, you know, actually, I think, well, no, I can't find it. Well, I'm going to find the picture and put the picture in this video from that night. And then I'll just blur out her face so you guys don't know who she is. But I say all that to say, I knew what I was doing. I was capable of making a decision in that moment. I knew right from wrong in that moment at the age of 14 that this was not somewhere I had to be. So I don't buy into the notion that, you know, teenagers aren't capable of forming an opinion like that. Now, I do believe that a grown man is able to formulate and know I shouldn't be doing this, you know. But then we get into the whole thing, you know, where Yonwa says that people stop developing at the age of their trauma. And so, you know, there's all these stories out there about, you know, R. Kelly was molested by his sister, which is like a video of its own. Because where is this sister at that was doing all this molesting and carrying on? Like, is she still alive? Is she a productive citizen? How is she taking all this in? And people are all over the internet accusing her of all this stuff. There's some people are saying she's married to a pastor. Some people are saying she's active in the church. And it just makes you wonder, like, how, well, I know the brother Carey got on that Unwind with Tasha K show and told all this, spilled all this piping hot tea about what was happening to them. And R. Kelly's also stated that he was molested as a child. So we know there was some molestation going on. But to sit there and say that it was the sister, like, what is going on in her life? You know, that all this is happening. But back to the point of whether or not people are mature enough. You know, I believe the girls are mature enough, and I believe that he was mature enough, which leads me to believe that there's something, maybe there's something to that whole young statement that if you have undealt with trauma, you never age beyond that point in your life. So maybe in his mind, he was so devastated by the time he was a teenager that he hasn't been able to move from that teenager point. But I just still think that there's some cognizance of right from wrong, and then to have been accused of this repeatedly, to me would say, even if I think this is okay, the world is telling me that it's not okay, and I really need to stop doing this. And I don't know. And then somebody had, I was watching a video where somebody had made the point that even if he recognizes that he's wrong, he probably can't have a healthy relationship with a mature woman, because what are they going to talk about? Because I mean, like, he's 52, I'm 54. Could we sit down and have a conversation on a level of people in their 50s? Like, would that be able to take place? Or would I be sitting there saying, like, Negro, please? You know, and then people talk about the whole not being able to read and write thing, which I think is a big farce, because, you know, he has dyslexia. And dyslexia basically means that when we look at a sheet of paper with words on it, we can see it and go across and read it. But when they see those words, they're like seeing it jumbled up and in the wrong direction and that type of thing. And they have therapy that help people read. And so I just be sitting there like, can y'all stop perpetuating these stories? Because there's no way that this man is as articulate as he is and not be able to read and write. Like, how have you written hundreds of songs and not be able to read and write? And I just believe that if he's in a place, like he was talking about where he was at the Grammys, I think it was, and they wanted him to be an announcer for one of the awards. Well, of course, if he's standing there looking at the teleprompter, he probably couldn't read what it was saying. because he would be confused in that moment. But I think if they had given him the verbiage of what he was supposed to say, and he could have rehearsed it and memorized it like he memorized all them songs he was singing the other night, that he could get up in front of people and be able to present, or maybe he would just be too nervous to do it. But anyway, back to the story at hand. So I was thinking about all the things that kids can do. So you can learn how to drive a car at the age of 15 and go get a license. And a car is basically like a weapon of mass destruction. If you get out there drinking and driving, or you're not paying attention, if you're out there texting, you can kill people in a car. But they allow 15 and 16-year-olds to drive cars. You can get a job at 14. I got my first job when I was 14 years old, and I've been working ever since. So if you have the faculties to be able to get a job, learn these processes, then why aren't you old enough to make the decision that you can have sex at 14, 15, 16 years old? And kids, I look at kids walking to the bus stop, 8, 9 years old, walking to the bus stop alone at 7 o'clock in the morning. So they're definitely growing up too fast. I can remember, when I first moved out, my oldest daughter, she was like 7 or 8. The school was up the street, well, up the street and then down the street a little bit, but it was within walking distance. And she went to school after I had to leave for work. And so she used to walk to school, and then she kind of like gravitated to some older kids that were in the complex, and she would walk with them. And, and looking back on it, I feel bad about it, because I remember my next door neighbor, her little boy used to walk to school, and I used to get upset with her because she was in the bed sleeping while her little boy was walking to school. It wasn't like she was at work, and she just felt so desperate. And so there are instances where kids have to grow up faster, but I still think it's the parents' responsibility to instill in them right from wrong, and you should do this, you shouldn't do this, this is what you should do if this happens. But when it comes to what was allegedly taking place in this situation with R. Kelly, I believe that those girls, based on their conditioning, based on the era that they were growing up in, the whole hip-hop era, where, all the videos they're watching is about, celebrities and young women chasing the celebrities and all of this stuff, and the sexual lyrics. And even now today we have the same thing going on, but now it's the Instagram models. So I think that society as a whole plays a huge part in how teens are thinking and how they're formulating information. And I just think it's going to be real interesting because, Georgia and Chicago allegedly have opened investigations. They're looking for people to come forward. They have, I think in Chicago, 2 women have come forward talking about incidences where, like in 1998, and the other one was in 2002, is there corroborating information out there, corroborating witnesses? Do they have receipts to prove that these things happen? The prosecutor in Chicago, I'm thinking, probably would end up having to recuse herself from any charges that are brought or any cases that are brought, because she is a sexual assault survivor. So I don't even think she could be objective at this point, because she's already said she ain't looking for forensics information. She's looking for your story, and she's looking for any witnesses that can corroborate your story, which basically means I could call her and say this happened, and then I could get my best friend to say, yeah, I remember that happened, and then she could file a case. So I don't know how that's going to work out. And then in Georgia, I'm not sure anybody's come forward yet. They're looking to talk to the Ashanti McGee lady. But we'll see what happens with that. And I think that was pretty much all I wanted to say. Just basically, after watching this girl's video, how she just pretty much laid it out, how, we know right from wrong, and if you have good parents in your life, your parents are going to teach you right from wrong. And then what you do with what you're being taught in the home you base your decisions and whether or not you get into a situation, can you use critical thinking to get yourself out of that situation. And so that's basically what she was saying, and I agree with so much in what she was saying. And then I just think about instances in my own life and people I've known through the years and different things that have happened, and I just view things differently. And someone asked me, why was I anti black woman empowerment? And I said, I'm not anti black woman empowerment. I am pro. We need to make better choices, and we need to stop blaming other people for the decisions that we make. And I'm just not that type of person who jumps on the bandwagon and because everybody else is going with the wind this way. I believe in critical thinking. I believe in sitting down, assessing the situation. I put my own self based on my own experiences in the situation and say, what would I have done, or what would I have been thinking at that time, at that age, during that era? And then I form a conclusion based off of that. And so when I look at different situations that have happened, different situations that I have witnessed, and I can come to a conclusion and say, this is what I think happened, this is what I believe. And then even with the documentary, you can tell that so many of those stories were improvised, that they were ad-libbing, adding on stuff. Some of the stuff made zero sense that they were saying, and I'm looking at them giving them the side eye like, girl, are you serious right now? And it just, to me, it just, a lot of it just didn't make sense. And it's like, come on, people, make better choices. And then someone, they kept writing on Twitter, when people were live tweeting during the show, you older women need to remember these are teenagers, that, these aren't grown women, these are teenagers. And finally I was like, okay, before we were grown women, we were once teenagers, and we were once making dumb decisions, and we were once doing stupid stuff. Like, I can remember coming home, and this is when I was older. I was like 18, 19 years old, and my mom had a rule: you had to be in the house at a certain time, and if you weren't in the house at a certain time, it was going to be big trouble. And so I can remember walking up to the door, peeping through the window, and my mom would be laying on the sofa. She done fell asleep reading one of her books, and I used to go climb. I started unlatching my window, and then I would climb through the window and get in the bed, pretend like I had been in bed the whole night. And she would be looking at me real crazy the next morning when I come out of my room talking about, good night's sleep, knowing good and well I didn't get home to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then also, my kids' father, I have 3 daughters. And so my 2 oldest daughters, their father, I met him, I think I was like 16 years old, and he was working at this barbecue place called Big Tail's Barbecue. And he used to flirt with me all the time. And so I used to tell my friends, I was like, oh, he make me so sick. Like, why don't you leave me alone? I just want to go in there and get my sandwich and be done. And so then my friends was like, girl, let me give you some free food. You better take that free food. So I used to go up there and let him flirt all he wanted to, and get my barbecue sandwiches for me and my girls, and we go have lunch and everything. Like, oh my God. So then when we were older, we were like 18, 19 years old, he used to also be a security guard at this club called the Mark 5. And so then they was like, girl, go see if he'll get us in the club. I'm like, I ain't going to no club, and y'all crazy. And they was like, girl, go ahead, go ahead. So, of course, I'd go up there and be like, oh, me and my girls come up to the club. You'll get us into the club. And he was like, yeah, I'll get y'all into the club. And if any of you have read my book, He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not, I've actually taken it off the market. But a lot of the stuff, it's not a biography or a memoir or anything. But there are some things in that book that are real, that are based off of things that actually happened. And, but I'm getting ready to put that book back out, but it's going to be in a 4-part series, but it'll still be called He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. But anyway, so he used to get us into the club. We go into the club, have a good time, and everything. So then eventually I did start dating him, and we did end up having 2 children, and then he did end up losing his dang on mind. But anyway, and he was 6 years older than me, I think. So yeah, he was 6 years older than me, because I was 19, so he was 25 when we started dating. But Anyway, I knew what I was doing, no regrets, anything like that. So I had so when I was 16, I knew good and well I wasn't fixing to be telling my mama I was dating no 22-year-old man. But I did used to go up there and get them free sandwiches and french fries and whatever we wanted for lunch and dinner. And then we did use him to get into the club. And so then I eventually started dating him. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about the topic. Leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye bye.